1 minute. May I have all the candidates to be seated at the candidate table? And let me know when you're ready, Deacon. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Welcome to the New Hope Baptist Church. My name is Deaconess Candace Wicks. I serve as the chair of the Government and Political Relations Committee here at New Hope, and I'm thankful for your presence this evening. I also serve as one of the liaisons for Our Voices, Our Vote, and I also serve as the chair of the National Panhellenic Council of Dallas Social Action Committee. I am a Diamond Life member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Dallas Alumni Chapter, which is one of the organizations in the NPHC, which is helping to assist us with this evening's event. The National Panhellenic Council of Dallas, the New Hope Baptist Church, and Our Voices, Our Vote are all three nonpartisan organizations. We do not endorse any candidates. However, we are ready and available to assist with voter education and voter mobilization. And with that having been said, I would like to turn the microphone over to the former mayor of the city of Garland, Texas, and our pastor emeritus, and a member of Omega Psi Phi Theta Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, who is a member of the NPHC, our own pastor emeritus, Dr. Ronald E. Jones, Sr.
All right, thank you, Deaconess Sister Candace Wicks. On behalf of our senior pastor, the Reverend Dr. Damian Williams, our officers, we again welcome you to New Hope Baptist Church. This is a critical time in our nation, in our state, county, and of course in our city. And as we always say and have said from the beginning, all politics is local. You make the difference. You decide who is in leadership. Everything arises with leadership. So we take this serious. We know that the Lord himself is the initiator of government systems, although men have contorted them and twisted them, but ultimately he is in control. It is the Lord's command that we should pray for those in leadership. It is the Lord's command to remind us that no matter who is in leadership, he is ultimately in control. He decides who rises and falls. But nevertheless, the responsibility is upon us to be engaged, to be involved. With that, I invite you to go to the Lord in prayer with me. Eternal Father, we are grateful for those who have assembled this evening, those who've come out to participate in this political process, in this responsibility that is expected of us. Indeed, how noble it is for an individual to offer themselves to serve. How worthy it is to be called to that position, and how honorable and how responsible it is to be selected and expected to serve. And those who have entered these various races, O God, who have the intention of serving these thy people, bless and guide them and give them good hope that they will pursue their goals with vigor, with tenacity, but understand that ultimately the people will make that final decision. And those who ultimately get elected, let them remain committed to serve and not quit in the process. Bless them, guide them, and bless this evening's program. In Jesus' name, amen.
We will now have greetings from our representative from Our Voices, Our Vote, Sean Reed. Following him will come the Dallas president of the National Panhellenic Council of Dallas, Dr. Perry.
Thank you so much, Candace. Good evening, everyone. And we all say good evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At first, I wanted to give a shout out and acknowledgement to New Hope for allowing us to be here and opening up their doors. And then can y'all give a round of applause for Candace Wicks for organizing this? We know the work is plentiful and the laborers are few, and we're so grateful and thankful for Candace, her continued commitment to this work. My name is Sean Reed, and I am a member of the Dallas-Fort Worth Urban League Young Professionals. I serve as the president. I'm also the CSR director for the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm here today representing Our Vote is Our Voice, a voter engagement coalition that specializes in voter registration, voter engagement, voter education, and voter mobilization. It's a coalition that's open to all who are in the fight for civic engagement and advocacy in the DFW area. It's a coalition that meets with a magnitude of partners on a consistent basis. If you're not a part of the coalition and you're doing civic engagement and advocacy work in the community, I ask that you join us so we can collaborate more. There's lots of work to be done, but we can do it better if we did it together. So I ask that you join us on Facebook, and meet with us as we meet twice a month on Zoom so we can continue to do the work in the DFW area around civic engagement.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening. Y'all, I am so excited. I don't smile this much usually, but this has been a day, long time coming, and I'm so happy. Thank you so much. Can we give Greek Candace Wicks another round of applause? Applause, please. So greetings, I'm Dr. Sylvia Perry, the president of the Dallas National Panhellenic Council of Dallas, and again, I'm excited. We are the official umbrella organization of the 9 predominantly African-American collegiate fraternities and sororities. On behalf of the 12 affiliate chapters, I'm gonna read my list so I don't mess up. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Please stand if you're a member of the Divine Nine. Well, all right. Thank you. We represent some of the oldest chapters within the DFW Metroplex and within our respective organizations, and together we bring you warm greetings. This year, NPHC Dallas celebrates our 71st anniversary, and we're delighted to assemble here today for this political forum. We aim to learn more about each candidate's plans to make Dallas's future brighter than its past. We appreciate each of you for being present today, and we extend a special thank you to the shepherd of this house, Dr. Damian N. Williams, and Pastor Emeritus as well, for allowing us to hold this forum at the historic New Hope Baptist Church, the church home of our former international president, the late James T. Bailey, a life member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. A special thanks again to my friend Candace Wicks, Social Action Chair, for organizing this event. To our partners, Our Vote is Our Voice. Thank you for your collaboration, and we look forward to more programs in the future. And thank you to the candidates. We look forward to hearing your words while we quietly partake in the refreshments provided. Thank you.
And we do want to also acknowledge the past national president of the National Panhellenic Council, Greek, Cassandra L. Black. Please stand. Past national president of the National Panhellenic Council, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Thank you. And at this time, I do want to acknowledge the timekeepers that we have here tonight. Would you please stand, timekeepers from Dallas Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta? Sarah Cheney and Sarah Nevels. Thank you so much. At this time, this woman needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her just a brief one. Anytime we have ever needed her expertise and her knowledge in terms of doing political forums, we know that she has the integrity to take care of business appropriately. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Judge Valencia Nash McShann, and she will be the first moderator for the first contest of the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah Wicks. I appreciate being able to be here with you tonight. Anytime we're talking about social action, that is what we do. So again, to the shepherd of this house, Dr. Williams, thank you for having me tonight. To the pastor emeritus, Mayor Jones, so good to see you, my fraternity brother. And again, Candace, again, thank you for having me tonight. So just to go over a few housekeeping rules, we want to make sure that everybody understands that this is not a debate. So I'm going to go over a few of the rules of engagement for this particular forum. The focus of this candidate forum is to see how best the candidates would respond to questions and not engage with each other. So again, this is not a debate. The candidates are prohibited from making personal attacks against their opponents, and we know that we have had some wonderful political forums without the need of any of that. We also want to make sure that candidates are not allowed to interrupt each other. Candidates are expected to stay on topic and answer the questions that are asked, and for each section there will be statements followed by a question, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question asked of them. There may be follow-up questions and additional questions for each section. No props or personal staff interaction, and the audience is not allowed to ask questions or make comments during the forum. Again, this may change if there is time at the end, but again, we want to respect your time for this evening. And so again, we want everyone to be open, be honest, and be respectful. Again, I think Candace has already introduced our timekeepers for the candidates. They will place a paper up showing you that you have, again, you have 2 minutes initially, then it will go down to 1 minute, and then they'll let you know that you have 30 seconds. So we're gonna jump right on in to this political forum. And so again, before we get started, we want to acknowledge any elected officials who are here tonight. If you're an elected official, I want to make sure that we shout you out. So I will start. I'm Judge Valencia Nash. I'm Dallas County Precinct 1, Place 2, Justice of the Peace. Glad to be here. All right, thank you, Judge Edwards. Thank you, Sheriff Brown. And any others? All right. So we're going to go jump right into it. And so we're going to start out with our sheriff's race. So if I could get both candidates for the sheriff's race to come forward. And we are so thankful that both of you are able to make it tonight. Oh, that's okay. Okay, and so I want to make sure that our audience knows that we are live on Zoom, and you can go to the New Hope Baptist Church for you to witness this deal. You can also text your friends and let them know as well. So again, Sheriff Brown, Lupe Valdez, we're so glad to have both of you here this evening. And so we would just want to get started. If you could just tell us again, we already know what you're running for, and you're running for sheriff, so we can go right into our questions. And so I'm going to start with Sheriff Brown. You are already the incumbent here. Tell us what is your priority, if you have different priorities this time, if you are elected and when you're elected.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here this evening. Our priorities continue to be community engagement. Historically, a sheriff's department is not necessarily engaged in the community. However, that's something that has changed in that my tenure as a law enforcement officer has seen me in many spaces involved in the community, and that seems to be my forte. So that's something that we have brought to the community now, is that community engagement, National Night Out, National Faith in Blue, Meet the Deputy, Blue Santa, and things of that nature are things that we're going to be concentrating on as we continue forward.
Thank you, Sheriff. Former Sheriff Valdez, what would be your priority if elected?
There's a couple of things, but one of the most important to me is the inmate programs. I set up welding, machinists, bicycle repair, dog training, gardening, commercial printing, anyway, there was a whole bunch of them that no longer exist. These provided job skills for the inmates. And when we provided these, the inmates would not come back once they had a job. And we also gave them training on anger management, fatherhood, healthy relationships. When we did all that package together, the inmates did not come back. One of the things I hope to do immediately after I get there is restore that, bring that back so that the community can be helped and we can make taxpayers instead of tax users of the people that are going to jail. Another thing I hope to do is continue to work on our highway program. We hate being stuck on the highway. And when last time I was there, I worked with COG and Transportation Commission, and we worked on moving accidents out so that the traffic could continue. And we looked at the spots where there was accidents every month on the highways, and we tried to figure a way to avoid accidents, to make it possible for the public to continue moving, getting to where they need to be. We hate sitting there in the car knowing that there's an accident ahead and not much is being done. I work with Transportation Department to make it happen so that that would move faster. Those are two of the things I hope to get back. Thank you.
Thank you. And former Sheriff Valdez, I'm going to start with you with the next question. What do you believe is the major safety issue facing Dallas County today?
We have a lot of angry people. And I think road rage is one of the problems that we have. I've noticed, I read on the crime stats, and of course, violent crimes are going down, and it's necessary to take care of violent crimes. But there's a lot of undertow that are not necessarily violent crimes. We hate to have somebody break into our car and take something that's there. That's a lot of little petty crimes. I call them the crimes that we're not afraid of. I mean, when you go to jail, we should put people in jail that we're afraid of, not people that we're angry with. All these little crimes, we get angry at people, but that's not a reason for them to be put in jail for a long time. We have to find a different way to go after this so that we can find a solution and we can actually change some of that. Even more cameras would be important for us to have so that a lot of this crime would be stopped. Of course, the main thing is violent crime. I get so tired of people killing people just because they cut them off in the road, or just because they took something from their front porch, or just because they made a wrong turn into their community. We need to stop violent crimes, but we also need to pay attention to some of the other things that make our life uncomfortable.
Thank you. Sheriff Brown, same question. What do you believe the major public safety concern is facing Dallas County today?
I think that we have to address this issue of gun violence. We have got to. You know, the state of Texas, unfortunately, has this reputation for everybody carry a gun, everybody just pack it on your hip, everybody is supposed to have a gun. And while I respect the Second Amendment, I think that we need to recognize that when a gun is readily available, then sometimes cool heads do not prevail when there is an instance of anger. This is why we have been conducting the gun buybacks. I don't anticipate that our gun buybacks will yield people who have been involved in criminal offenses, but what I do anticipate is that if we have homes that have those weapons in those homes, let's say grandma, grandpa left the weapon there in the house and the weapon is still there, and there are children that are in that home and those weapons can be accessible to those children, we offer opportunities for people to come in and receive a gift card in response to them turning in those weapons that they don't want. We're not demanding that anybody turn in their weapons. What we do is we make it voluntary and we ask them to turn them in, because then that will help keep the community safe if the weapons are not readily available in the home.
Thank you, Sheriff Brown, and I'm glad you brought up the issue of gun violence. It's something that Dallas County is seeing more and more on television. My alma mater, Wilmer Hutchins, that's where I graduated from, has been in the news as of late. What do you think that schools can do differently, or what recommendations would you give in terms of students accessing guns and keeping our schools safe so that parents don't have the fear of sending their children off to school? Any position on that?
I think the first thing that we have to do is what we're already doing is when we have something like this happen, we have to sit down and we have to talk about it and we have to figure out how it happened. That's the major question right now. How is it that we have processes in place and these processes are designed for the purpose of preventing weapons getting into schools, and yet we have an instance where a weapon gets into a school? So the first thing that we have to do is we have to sit down and we have to figure out where's the loophole? What happened that the weapon was able to be entered into the school? The second thing that we have to do is we have to engage the parents, and we have to talk to the parents and get the parents to talk to their children. There's the instance up in, I believe it's Michigan, where the parents were just convicted because of their lack of involvement or them knowing about their child having this weapon, and then their son having this demeanor toward people, and yet they did nothing about it, even though the school contacted them and they were aware of this. And so the second part, I think, is that parents have to be engaged. We have to talk to our children. We have to make sure that they understand that this is not acceptable. And we have to tell our children that if they know something, they need to say something. They need to tell. If somebody calls you a snitch, so be it. But we need to make sure that our children understand that it is not only right and appropriate that they tell, but it is expected of them that they tell.
Thank you, Sheriff. Ms. Valdez, what do you think about this gun situation in schools? What would you recommend, or how can we do something differently or better so that parents don't have that fear of sending their child to school with the gun situations that are going on?
Thank you. And, I just realized I hadn't thanked you. And everybody should start a speech by thanking the people in the audience. I know there's a lot of stuff we could be doing, but you're interested enough to be here, and that's where I'll start off. But in the school situation, as we already do, our schools are getting used to having the check-in point. You come in through the check-in point, and then you get your stuff searched, and then you go on. So, but what is important is that it takes a village. It's not just the school that needs to address this. We all need to look at it. Our churches, our families. There's a group in DeSoto. DeSoto has some really neat things. That's who I work for right now. I work with DeSoto Police. And they have some really neat things in the high school and the junior high schools. One of them, I think it's called Men Cooking. And the men literally go in there and cook a couple of times for the children. And they have the connection of chef cooking for the children that are coming. There's another one that's called Retired Folks Mentoring, and they go in and do mentoring to the children. They have, along with the police, by the way, a lot of these were set up through the police, and it was set up so that the church could get connected, the school could get connected, the family could get connected, and the community could get connected. We're not going to solve it by just going in one direction. We have to all get involved and become the village that will stop that.
Thank you, Ms. Valdez. Ms. Valdez, starting with you again, let's go into body cam. Body cam video, we've seen on the news that, some families want to see what happened immediately. What is your position on officers continuing to keep the body cam on from the beginning to the end, and the release of that video when an incident occurs?
Thank God for body cams. I have been an officer for over 47 years. And I can honestly tell you, when I became a federal agent, there was maybe 6 women in the whole United States that were agents. And there might have been maybe 7 minorities in the whole US. And we saw things that we'd rather not discuss. And many a time, we would step up, the minorities, the females would step up and say, okay, enough, I'm taking him to jail, you don't take him. Because those of you that all are old enough, remember, you can fight the crime, but you can't fight the bride, because they were gonna beat you up. So I would step in and say, let me take him to jail. You go on home, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I know you're all tired, let me take him. Because I knew they would get a relief. And I had several of them say, thank God you took me, because I knew I was gonna get beat up. But you know what? The cameras came in. I don't have to take him as much anymore. We don't have to take him as much anymore, because the cameras need to stay on. They need to stay on to hear what the officer is thinking, saying, participating, doing. When I first got to the jail, it was common knowledge that minorities were beat up. Around 3 months after I got there, because I had to go through a lot of procedures, I had cameras put up. I had cameras put up all in the entrance, in the elevators where most of the beating happened, and in the process, because cameras will tell a story that the officers cannot deny.
Thank you. Sheriff, what is your position on body cams, and should they stay on? And what about the release when families feel like it should be released immediately?
Okay. I think we have to always be mindful of the rights of the victims as well as the rights of the suspects when we're talking about releasing. I know I'm going kind of backwards in how you asked the question. So we always have to be mindful of that. There will be instances where the release of body cam footage is appropriate and it is helpful in perhaps an explosive situation in the community. So I think that it is incumbent upon the leader to make a decision to say if it's going to be released, regardless of whether or not the policy says that it will not be released until such time. I think that the leader sometimes will have to make a difficult decision. But I think that body cameras they're a godsend. Okay, I remember when the dash cams came, when Senator West was talking about it initially. I was a young officer, and I remember that officers were like, we don't need Big Brother watching us. We don't need somebody to see what we're doing. But what we have learned in hindsight is that the cameras actually work both ways, so they can be helpful to us as well. So I think that it is appropriate that if cameras are running and they're supposed to be running, they need to stay on for the duration. Again, if you have a sensitive situation where perhaps it's a family violence, a sexual assault, something of that nature, and the camera needs to be discontinued, then of course you have to make those decisions and discontinue the camera at that point. So I think that's appropriate.
Thank you, Sheriff. And Sheriff, starting up with you, let's talk about community policing. We want to make sure, I know, everybody has their opinion of law enforcement. And we want to make sure that people have confidence and full faith in our public safety. What are some things that you are implementing now or that you will implement on after the election?
Okay, as I mentioned when we started, National Night Out is a huge thing for the Sheriff's Department now, and we have people who look forward to that each year. That traditionally is something that is just germane to local law enforcement agencies, to the municipalities, but now it's big for us. Our unincorporated areas look forward to it because those are the areas that we police, and they look forward to coming out to that, and that is the time when we come outside and we meet and we greet one another. National Night Out is just that. It's a national event. In the state of Texas, we observe it in October because at some point we said August is too hot in Texas and we want to do ours in October. So we do it in October, and it's a huge event. That's one of the things that I want to continue because I think that when we have 600-700 people come out on one night, just for the sake of meeting and greeting one another, then I think that that says community right there. One of the other things that we're doing is participating in National Faith in Blue efforts. That is because we recognize that it takes all of us working together to police our community. So we get involved and we get our churches involved for that weekend in October for National Faith in Blue activities. We do a Blue Santa project where we go to the unincorporated areas, particularly to the mobile home parks that we police, and we take Christmas to those communities. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to continue with our gun buybacks, and we're going to continue with our Meet the Deputy efforts so that our communities can meet the deputies in those non-enforcement situations. That's very important.
That's great. Former Sheriff Valdez, what about your community policing efforts if elected? What would you implement?
Well, first of all, Take Back the Night was started by, well, Take Back the Night was the original of National Night Out. National Night Out developed after black women in their neighborhoods decided we are tired of the streets and what's happening as soon as it gets dark. So black women decided we are taking back the night. And it was called Take Back the Night. I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember when that all started. That went into the community function that we now have. I honestly believe that the community should, the first time they see an officer should not be when they're coming to enforce something. They should see, the community should see an officer way before there's any necessary enforcement that might happen in the neighborhood. Some domestic violence, some families getting angry at each other or whatever, shouldn't be the first time you see certain officers. Officers should be familiar in the neighborhood with the people. As a matter of fact, there was an old Walk the Beat. And in Walk the Beat, they got a lot of information because they reached out to the people in the neighborhood. And thank goodness that there's a lot of law enforcement now that strongly believes in reaching out to the neighborhood and doing something among them way before there's any enforcement done.
Thank you, Ms. Valdez. Ms. Valdez, this is the last question I have.
Okay.
Why should the voters of Dallas County elect you?
When I first took over, I took over an understaffed, overpopulated, unsanitary department that routinely beat up minorities. First, you stop the hurt. Secondly, you change the environment. And thirdly, you change the outcome. So the first thing I did was get rid of the folks that were beating up minorities. The second thing we did was clean up. The jail smelled for blocks down, and it was in an awful situation. So the second thing, we cleaned it out. And the third thing, we wanted to change the outcome. We went from 8,000 inmates to about 55 because we connected them to program after program after program. We connected them to nonprofits. We connected them to Second Chance. We connected to mental health. We connected to physical health. We had over 50 situations where we would go out. They're not going to come to you. You've got to go out to them. And right now, I'm looking at about 4 organizations. South Dallas Employment Program. We're already having great conversations on how we're going to do some stuff. And the first thing he said is, how come we're not in the jail? And I said, how come you're not in the jail? We need to go out and bring those people in and have them work their programs in the jail so that we can bring the population down and bring the violence down.
Thank you. Sheriff Brown, why should Dallas County voters re-elect you?
Because I think it starts with leadership. And when COVID came, Dallas County, under my leadership, emerged as a leader throughout the state of Texas and throughout the country. What do you mean? Well, the Texas Commission on Jail Standards looked to us and realized that we were implementing processes and practices and procedures, basic things like daily reporting, and they said, hey, can you tell us more about that? And then we did, and they took that and they adopted it and they disseminated that information throughout the state of Texas, and that became the official way to operate to keep people safe, even in a worldwide pandemic situation. So I'm saying that if we're able to manage in a worldwide pandemic than we are managing even now while we're not in a pandemic. And that's demonstrated by the fact that we're passing our inspections, we're maintaining our health accreditation through the National Commission on Correctional Health Care. We have many programs in our system, many inmate programs. They don't look like they did pre-COVID, okay? COVID changes everything, and so they don't look like what they did, but we have those programs. They have to be tailored or altered, if you will, modified such that they are different because of what we have now in our jail, because of the way that we're set up. And so we have those programs, and we plan to continue with those programs. In addition, we've implemented programs like voting on actual election day. We've got tablets in our system now that the inmates are able to use. We've also digitized our mail to reduce the introduction of contraband into our system, and something like that where the state system has said, that's a great idea.
Thank you, Sheriff. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you both. And I don't want to leave out any candidates who are running. If you're not a part of tonight's forum, if you want to stand and introduce yourself. All right. And so our next race that I am told that I will be moderating, any Dallas College trustees in the house? Come on up. No, I'm fine. Okay. All right, good evening. I believe all of you were here when I read the rules of engagement, and so I'm gonna let her have a seat, and we are going to get started. Again, let me just remind you, our timekeeper is here at this table. You'll get a 2-minute, a 1-minute, and a 30-second warning. So the same question will be asked of each of you, and we're gonna bring some more water out here, just in case you may need it. And starting to my right, could you please answer the 3 questions? What is your name? What position are you running for? And why should the people of Dallas elect you?
Hello, thank you guys for having me. My name is Jasmine Anderson. I am running for Dallas College trustee for District 7. I have a background in education, background in real estate development. I'm the former director of real estate development and planning for Dallas College, also former city planning commissioner for District 4 under Carolyn King Arnold. I'm a graduate of Lincoln High School, and I've seen the needs, the attention that our community needs. So I'm running so that we can create policies that begin to give our students access, our community access to education, technology, have a forward-leaning posture that then allows us to begin to move forward in our own educational attainment. I'm also running so that our communities can be more sustainable, knowing that sustainable policies kind of start with education, healthcare, finance, and of course food. Education being that tier that we're running for, and we'd like to begin to attract industries and other partners into the communities so that we can really provide a better future for our residents, the students, and everyone across the board.
Thank you. Oh, yes, just slide it. Sean, are you supposed to be up here with me? Okay, all right. I want to make sure I'm not like being a ball hog. Okay, go ahead.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Joey Rodriguez. I'm a candidate for the Dallas College Board of Trustees in District 7 as well. I'm a former Dallas ISD educator. They allowed me to teach 7th graders at one point, and absolutely loved that experience. Through that, obviously saw a lot of the disparities that the community had, specifically in Hulsey and South Dallas, South Oak Cliff, and then I taught at Ignite Middle School as well. I now have the privilege and honor of training school board candidates who want to run and make a difference for ISDs in Dallas County, as well as community members and leaders such as yourselves who want to know more about the ins and outs of education and how they can improve student outcomes from where they sit, because it doesn't always have to be on a school board, right? And so, for me, it's personal. I know exactly what it takes to sit on a board and to be effective on a board. I've done the training in the past. Really, my whole career I've dedicated to improving outcomes for students. And Dallas College is no different. We still have disparities in Dallas College. We lose visibility of our students once they get to Dallas College. About 90% of our Dallas County students are graduating from high school, and yet only about 35% of them are actually college ready. And so when they're slipping through the cracks, I believe Dallas College owes them the responsibility really to make sure that we're picking them up and to make sure that we are able to equip them with the skills and tools that they need to make a living and thriving wage so they can chase whatever boldest dreams and aspirations they have, because I believe it is possible.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez.
I got one. Oh, yeah. Hi, my name is Dr. Keisha Nicholas O'Reilly, and I am running for the Dallas College Board of Trustee, District 7. And I'm so excited to be here. It is truly a testament of how good God is. I sit here because God has truly allowed me to have amazing people in my life to be able to pour into me. And as a result, I've been able to pour into others, particularly for Paul L. Dunbar Elementary School, working with third graders all the way up until they graduated, a couple of them this year, being able to truly see the impact of how communities, when they're not prioritized in a manner to where we're thinking about equity, and that is one of the reasons why I'm running. In addition to that, I've been able to truly be able to support the community by being active in my church at Concord Baptist Church, and as a result of that, being able to see those impacts that I feel Dallas College could really partner with a lot of the organizations throughout the district. I am a licensed and a practicing at times pharmacist, but I also have a corporate day-to-day job to where I'm responsible for multi-million-dollar budgets, as well as being able to create innovative practices. So I'm really excited to be able to truly take all of that knowledge and to put into my community. I love my area that I live in, which is District 7, and looking for ways in which I, as an individual, can work and be able to truly impact the community around me. When you think about the responsibility for the board, understanding that it's not just about education, it is also about what are those duties and responsibilities from a fiscal management perspective, understanding the relationship between the community and the college, and what that means that the board's responsibilities are. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you, Ms. O'Reilly.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Dr. Catalina Garcia. I am the present trustee for District 1. 2 years ago, I was elected because a term was unexpired. And so I've only gotten to be there 2 years. And I am rerunning because I wish to continue some of the work I've started and do a lot more. I'm a retired anesthesiologist. I worked at Baylor Hospital for 40 years. I absolutely love my job, and now I love this job. And the thing that I love about it most is the contact with the students, the being able to discuss matters of great import on the board, and actually visiting with people in the district. I'm the first trustee of this board to have ever initiated independently a town hall meeting because I wanted the public to see what we're doing. I think that a board needs to be made of people who deal with the public because they elected us. I brought in somebody from the city, somebody from the county, and somebody from Parkland to discuss out in the open for many people who didn't know that we are going to build a Parkland clinic on the grounds of Richland. It has several possibilities because it will only be a day clinic, yes, but it will be for the students, it will be for the surrounding communities. They're very poor in medical care there, and then the new nursing degree that's going to come up. It's a perfect place to study. So I just want to continue the work I'm doing. My name is Dr. Catalina Garcia. I'm District 1 trustee.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. And I'm going to start with you. What would be your first priority if you were elected to that position?
I would immediately start looking into the apprenticeship programs. The biggest obstacle to our students is finances. Only 11% of them have children under 5, and we're trying to do something about that by putting in daycare clinics. But everybody needs a job. I think it's wonderful that we have these, they call wraparound services, where we give the young people free food and free clothes. I don't think that's what they want. I believe they would like to be able to earn their own living and not have to worry about always depending on the school. Plus, that doesn't pay your rent. So the first thing I would do is start looking for jobs for the students and ask companies to participate a lot more than they've done. After all, they hire our students, so they're benefiting.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Ms. O'Reilly, what about you? What would be your first priority if elected?
My first priority would be really to look at, one, how can the school itself generate opportunities to where it's one thing to partner with employers and businesses. It's another opportunity to be able to generate opportunities to where the school itself is making money. So for example, I would love to have a conversation, again, being able to appreciate District 7, looking at those areas where we have abandoned homes, where we have empty lots, and being able to see, well, what aspects or opportunities can Dallas College actually purchase those properties, and being able to allow the students who are involved in certain aspects of being able to bring that project, if it's a home, it's an apartment, whatever that may be, to fruition. And if that means having an opportunity to sell it, to rent it out, you get an opportunity where you're providing services not only to those non-traditional students who may be family or multi-generational situations and they have housing and stability, but also being able to create an opportunity where they're able to develop and to hone in on their skills. And at the end of the day, there's also an opportunity to be able to generate funds.
Thank you, Ms. O'Reilly. Mr. Rodriguez?
My number one priority would be to improve workforce readiness. Currently in the Dallas County, we have less than 16% of young adults who are black and brown actually attain a living wage. That doesn't sit right, I'm sure, with anybody here in this room. And when I say young adults, I'm talking about 25 to 34 years old. Less than 16 to 15%, 15% for Latinos and 16% for our young black adults. That is something that is finally being talked about at the Dallas College level. It's something that I've been able to talk about with Justin Lonan when we got to meet, and something that he wants to improve on as well. I believe that Dallas College has the potential to improve on some of those outcomes. I believe that we need to continue to make sure that we are researching what jobs are high skill, high wage, and high need. Right? Because they're pretty much knocking on our door saying, hey, we need your students. And so I want to make sure that as we're assessing our assets and also doing audits on our programming and our credits, right, or our course sequences, that we understand exactly where our students need to be, who needs our students, and making sure that we are creating a smooth pipeline to get them there. Because when you can start making $60,000, $70,000 a year, when cumulatively in your household, your parents never made more than 30, that is life-changing money. It's happened for me, and I want it to happen for any student and every student that walks through our doors at Dallas College.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, sir. My priority would be to create more touch points and access for our community. We know that Dallas College has a college campus 20 minutes away from each other around the periphery of the city, and then one downtown. However, we are lacking facilities in between that interweb where we have access, where students would have access to transportation. They have access to the various programming and technologies that Dallas College offers for other communities, and it offers around its own campus. However, in order to get the next level of student, or to convince people that these stackable credentials or the pathway to your future, is to have available facilities that people can walk to, people can enjoy, and people can come and be creative. I think that part of what we're looking at with the new H-1B bill that was just passed, that's really based on outcomes, is going to be difficult for Dallas College to do, considering we're an open enrollment institution. So we have to find out other ways to get the students in and to engage them so that they can provide those outcomes and perform like we need them to.
Thank you. Now, this question is regarding the dual credit programs. Mr. Anderson, do you think those dual credit programs with high school are effective, or what is your position on the dual credit programs?
My position on those is that it's twofold. The students have access to those dual credit programs, but there's little that they need to do in order to qualify to enter into those programs. And I think that results in a low completer status that a lot of the colleges and the students aren't saying anything about. And I think that that really does affect overall the outcomes that anyone would be able to create.
Thank you for that. Mr. Rodriguez, what do you think about the dual credit programs?
I think they're great, and I think the expansion of them has been awesome. I do think that with fast expansion comes obviously some moments where you're going to have a leaky pipeline. So just a quick fact here, 33% of Dallas College is in high school right now. That's 1/3 of our network is in high school. So we do have a great responsibility to share that accountability with the ISDs. I am proud to say that I have multiple endorsements from not only Dallas ISD trustees, but DeSoto ISD trustees as well, and also Garland ISD and Richardson ISD trustees. The only reason why that's important to me is because if 33% of our network, we're sharing accountability and responsibility with the ISDs, I want to find a way that we can actually effectively communicate with one another as two institutions and make sure that none of our students are slipping through the cracks, because that is happening and it's not very visible. I know there's a bunch of new data coming out and new data systems through EMS that are actually coming out that are going to now start to have a more comprehensive view in terms of data from both institutions, so that we can actually closely monitor what our students are doing, where they're needing help, and which institution is going to need to take responsibility for it, right? Because right now that's not happening. It's never happened before, because growth happened very quickly, and now we're learning a lot, right? And so these are conversations that are happening, and I want to make sure we continue to expand on these dual credit P-Tech programs, early college programs, because they're good for students when they can graduate from high school with a degree already, with an associate's or with a credential. So I want to make sure that they do have that, and once again, make sure that we're effective and that both the ISDs and the Dallas College Network are sharing that accountability and sharing responsibility.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Ms. O'Reilly?
I think that the dual credit program is a great program. I think that it's an opportunity for students to get a jump start for those who know exactly that they want to go to school. I think there are ways in which they can improve that. I also think that it's important to be able to figure out making sure that individuals, when they're getting the dual credits, that they have a direct support as it relates to making sure they're going to be able to graduate. A lot of students do the dual credit program, and as a result, getting into and transitioning, depending upon what school they're wanting to go to, they are struggling sometimes with being able to really get a 4-year degree in the time that they're trying to get them for those individuals who are seeking a 4-year degree. I also think that it's important to be able to think about and evaluate those individuals who are not participating in the dual credit program and trying to figure out what ways in which we can actually be able to assist them in the program. Dallas Promise, as you guys know, that's a great opportunity for individuals to go to school and get a degree free, but there's still challenges with that to where students are not engaging in that and being able to find out exactly what the issue is. So there's definitely room for improvement, and the responsibility to me, in my opinion, and what I feel like is important as a board trustee, is to evaluate to see what does that look like from a community perspective, what does that mean in terms of the working with the school system, and then being able to see exactly how Dallas College can support that.
Thank you. Dr. Garcia?
Thank you. I'm going to answer that in different roles. First of all, as a mother, it's wonderful. It's saving us all this money, and we're so excited about that. And I have an adopted son-nephew that, that graduated from Hillcrest. So yes, I have lived that. I'm also, as a board member, concerned about what happens to these young people who don't get in the dual credit program. I think we're leaving a big gap between the dual credit program and the C students. We're not focusing on all the student body, and I think that's where we're missing a bet. I think that's where the future college student who maybe not going to go to a 4-year place, but they can learn something where they can make a great deal of money in their lives and enjoy their work. And then lastly, as a taxpayer, both schools continue to get money for one student. So they're like sort of like double dipping. So in that way, I have financial concerns. But in terms of what it does for the student, I think it's a very good idea, and I'm glad we're expanding out into the smaller communities, the smaller ISDs, so that those young people can also have this advantage. I forgot to look at your sign. Is it 30 seconds yet?
10 seconds. Thank you, Dr. Oh, okay. Were you finished, Dr. Garcia?
Well, just about, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to start with Dr. Garcia this time. Dr. Garcia, you know, a lot of us didn't realize that Dallas College changed from Dallas Community College. Do you believe that the system as it is now is better than it was before? And if you think that there are some improvements to be made, what would those be for you if elected?
Well, the Dallas Morning News kept quoting me and saying that I was against the bringing them all under one administration, but that is wrong, and I kept arguing with them about that. I think it was a very good idea. Business-wise, a central administration is much more efficient. Also, scholastically, some of the young people were having trouble getting the credits to transfer from Dallas College to a university or to another college because there's some kind of rule, I forget what the name of it is, that you have to have so many hours at one institution before those hours will get accepted by the next institution. So that was hurting some of our students. But the thing I think that is very important is when you're a big system like that, it's really a lot easier to standardize things. And standardization is not a bad thing. It makes for quality. It makes for a great deal of innovation, actually, because there's more people thinking on the same things. So I'm very happy that this happened. I'll tell you what I do, though. I complain every single time I talk about this because they did not notify the public, and yet we're paying for them. They're saying that, yes, there were articles in the Dallas Morning News. Well, the circulation in the Dallas Morning News has been going way down, so who would know? They did not take out announcements on the radio or put ads on the TV. They never told us. They just did it, and they did a very poor job. They hired a consultant that they paid millions and millions to. We didn't need to do that. We should have done this cheaper and better.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Ms. O'Reilly?
I think that it was a great move. Anytime you're having 7 independent schools, and I think about the redundancy in certain processes, I think about also how students had to go back and forth, and depending upon what class and what situations and how their lives changed, that was very stressful for them. On the flip side of that, though, I do feel like sometimes when you're independent and able to develop based upon certain cultural and specific environments to where your school is located, you're able to do that and don't have to go through certain channels, so to speak. So I do think that they lost their autonomy with that. When you think about how in which the merger or the coming together happened right at COVID, and then thinking about the impact of what that was from a system perspective, I'm sure the school that experienced a lot of the growing pains. As a result of that, I went and looked at the actual data and being able to see how the enrollment came down, is coming back up, but also being able to evaluate what does that mean in terms of morale for those different institutions, and then being able to appreciate for District 7 how in which the coming together of the other schools has impacted the school itself. So I think that for overall it was great. I think that there's been some growing pains with that, but I also think that there's opportunities for the school to, each school itself, to kind of think about and look at what does it look in terms of the actual culture of the specific school, and then being able to make sure they are still staying true to that.
Ms. Rodriguez?
I agree. I think that the turning into one Dallas College it was a great move. I also know, in talking to, once again, the chancellor and some of the executive team, that there's still some growing pains, right? I mean, you have 7 different campuses who all interpreted policy in whatever way they wanted to, and now that is not true anymore, right? And so how are you gonna, bad habits die hard, right? And so how are you gonna go from having each individual campus function in their own way, interpreting policy however they wanted, to then all saying, actually, we all have one shared vision now, and everyone needs to fall in line, right? And so that's the one thing that I've been hearing is the issue. And so I want to make sure that we are providing really informed, balanced oversight, right? Not micromanaging, not getting in the weeds, not telling the chancellor how to do his job, because if I wanted his job, I'd just apply for it. That's not what I'm there to do. It's too stressful anyway. I don't want to be that person. But to, be informed and provide that kind of oversight to make sure that we're always consistent, right? Because what we want to look for is consistency and a cohesiveness within our network, right? Whether you're going to Brookhaven or Cedar Valley, I want to make sure that if you move or you transfer, right, there's still a lot of students that are mobile, right? And aren't stable in terms of their living situation. And so when they move and you go to a new campus and your classes aren't the same or your credits didn't count because of the campus you were at previously, that's the kind of stuff that this is fixing. We just want to make sure that we are actually holding people accountable, making sure that when those things come up and things aren't aligned, that we are making adjustments. That's the biggest thing, is adjustments can always be made if we have the right oversight.
Mr. Anderson? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. I think that it was a good move, and it was a necessary move in order for Dallas College to survive in the environment that we have now, with new funding models. What happened, as I was director of real estate, we were heavily involved with getting the college prepared to turn from Dallas County Community College District to Dallas College. And in that, it was explained that each of the colleges have their student body. And as we get federal dollars, it's better to have a larger student body than the small student bodies that they have. And after they go after research and other initiatives, it bodes well for the college to be one system. And now we're one of the largest colleges in the state. And I think that was necessary in order to get more completers out of each college, and also to make sure we get more funding to be able to transform the college to go into the future.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Last question, 10 seconds. Mr. Anderson, who is Dallas College for?
Dallas College is for you and I. It is for the aspirational people of, particularly District 7, since that's where I'm running. Dallas College is for the aspirational people who are vessels that are waiting for the knowledge, know-how, and opportunity to pour in, that allows them to get down the pathway to where they would like to go. Dallas College is
just 10 seconds now. 10 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, who is Dallas County for?
Do I go?
Yes.
Sorry.
10 seconds.
I've been
We gotta get to the
I've
next
been
one.
saying this from the start, and I'll continue to say it. I think we have the potential to change the phrase that college isn't for everyone, because I believe Dallas College is for everyone. Just depends on what you want to do.
Ms. O'Reilly?
Dallas College is for District 7. Again, I'm running for Board of Trustee. It is for anyone who wants to do anything and can use education as an opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Ms. O'Reilly. Dr. Garcia?
I think Dallas College is for the student, the faculty, administration, and the surrounding community, and we need to be a lot more involved with each other. I'd like to point out that I did show up to this forum and that I am running for District 1 trustee again, and I'm interested in the entire community.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you all so much. And while my friend comes up, Sean, let me just give you some dates. Of course, early voting starts April 22nd, 2024. Early voting ends April 30th. Election day is May 4th. For the runoff election, early voting starts May 20th. Early voting starts May 20th. The last day to register to vote is April 29th for that election. Early voting ends May 24th. Election day, May 28th. Turning it over to Sean Reed.
Thank you, Judge Nash. Next, we'll have our candidates who are running for Dallas ISD trustee. If there are any candidates running for Dallas ISD trustee, please come forward. Is there anyone else? Just want to be sure. Right, perfect. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge and give greetings to Dr. Lavetta Levels, who serves as our county appointee for the Citizens Elections Advisory Committee. Also, Randall Bryant, who is the chair of the Black Chamber of Commerce. Thank you both for being here. So, Mr. Turner, it seems like it's just me and you tonight.
Yes.
So we'll just have a conversation.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so let's just start with you telling everyone about yourself, what you're running for, why you decided to run, and what exactly a school board trustee does and is responsible for.
That's like 3 questions.
I know. It's a good introduction. Okay, I thought we were going to break the rules because there was, okay.
So, I'm ready to go.
Okay, we're going to time
I
this.
got you. Okay. Again, my name is Edward Turner. I'm a candidate for school board trustee, District 9. And the reason I'm running for school board is because I've made it my life's mission to change the educational outcomes in the community that I grew up in. And I grew up right here in the heart of South Dallas. I'm a graduate of the great James Madison High School. I was the first in my family to go to college, where I earned my bachelor's degree in finance. I earned my master's degree in international business. And I realized after moving back to Dallas, the educational opportunities, the financial opportunities that was available to me because I had an education, but both of my sisters are high school dropouts, and I see what their life is like. I see what my life is like. So I got involved, I got engaged in making sure that we can help turn our schools around, and particularly MLK Arts Academy, where my daughter goes to school. It's now Arts Academy, and we advocated for it to become an Arts Academy. And this year, my daughter's graduating in the 8th grade, and 8 kids applied to Booker T out of MLK, and 5 got in. And that goes to show that if we create these opportunities for our kids, that they will rise to the occasion. And I want to continue to do that work. I didn't get here on my own. It took my parents, teachers, mentors to help me get here, and that's why I'm here. So what I want to do on my platform, I want to focus on school safety, early childhood, increasing job trades, college and career readiness, and having a commitment to the community. And I want to continue to do the work to make sure that we create more opportunities for all our kids right here in District 9.
Right, thank you. You got it all. I was going to ask you the second part of the question, give you some more time.
Okay.
But you got it all, though.
All right, thank
you. So next question is regarding budget. So if elected, what will be your budget priorities as a member of the school board?
Right. Well, one thing, as we all know, the state of Texas is not funding education properly, and it's really a crime, in my opinion. But DISD, like most ISDs across the state, is facing budget shortfalls. And one thing that I'm going to beat the table about this is we're not going to take funding away from the campuses. We need to make sure that no dollars or no resources are removed from individual campuses. We need to look at other revenue sources. That means bringing in partnerships, bringing in other not state, but federal and other grant funding to fill the gaps, and also making sure that we're cutting some of the fat at the top. I really, truly believe that the district is top-heavy, but more importantly, we want to make sure that those that are providing services and on our campuses, that we do not take any dollars away from the campuses, because our kids need the most.
Thank you, sir. My next question is regarding engagement. If elected, how do you plan to engage communities of color, immigrant communities, and the youth to ensure that their voices are heard in making policy and decisions?
Right. So first thing, and I want to make y'all make this known, and y'all can hold me accountable to this. I would never do what's in the best interest of adults. I'm going to always do what's in the best interest of kids. And every decision I make will be in the best interest of kids. I'm a community organizer. I believe in engaging the community, talking to the community. I would be a proactive trustee where I'm going to let the community know about the good, the bad, and the ugly that we're going to face. Every decision that we're going to do, we're going to have a shared vision. It's going to be collaborative, and we're going to work together to do what's in the best interest of kids. If an adult want to come to me about some other agenda that doesn't benefit kids, I don't want to hear it. Because at the end of the day, your kids, whether you're black, brown, white, it doesn't matter. If you're on U.S. soil, you deserve a proper education. If you're in DISD, you deserve a quality education, a quality teacher in front of you, and I'm always going to advocate for that. So that's my principle, kids over adults.
Right. My next question is regarding special needs students who are not getting the proper support and equitable education as a part of Dallas ISD. I do want to say that federal law requires public schools to provide an adequate education for all students. So if elected, what would you do to improve Dallas ISD's service for the needs of special needs students?
Right, and that's a great question, because our special needs students do require extra attention, and we need to make sure that we are utilizing all the resources to support them. Even if that's bringing in additional support from outside partners to support our teachers when it comes to special needs, even bringing in outside partners to support our parents and the families when it comes to special needs, because a lot of special need kids need attention 24 hours a day, not just in the school, but outside the school. So I want to make sure that we are serving those kids within the school, but also making sure that these kids have resources outside of the school and that they are supported.
Perfect. In your opinion, what could the district do better to improve mental health resources for students inside of our schools?
You know, the district is doing pretty well when it comes to, well, they can do better, but we do have our mental health facilities like the EBJ health facility for mental health. But this is the challenge that I found when working on these. The parents got to want to attend these sessions, right? Education starts at home. So if your kid needs some mental health services, then a parent has to be willing to go outside and get those services. Only thing the district can do is provide them a resource to get counseling, get mental health training, and bring in outside partners. But if the parent is not going to utilize those resources, there's not much we can do. But we have to make sure that those resources are readily available in the event that a parent or a kid do need help with their mental health. And mental health, I mean, it's broad, okay? I'm 43 years old, and I talk to a counselor every 2 weeks. If I'm just talking about just random stuff, I think we all need some level of mental health at the end of the day. So,
perfect.
Yeah.
Similar question, but more so geared towards violence intervention programs.
Mm-hmm.
What could the district be doing better to ensure that schools have violence intervention programs to avoid our students from getting into more violent activities?
No, that's a great question. When I was a community organizer, I advocated for better discipline policies at Dallas ISD. I organized parents, teachers, and community partners to make sure that we're not suspending our younger kids, our second graders that are getting suspended just from acting up in class. When the kid misses days out of school, they're missing education. And we need to make sure we keep our kids in school. When it comes to violent activities, we need to teach these children conflict resolution. We need to teach these kids about positive behavior intervention support systems. We need to do a better job in implementing that. I understand if a kid should only be kicked out of school if they are a danger to another kid or a danger to themselves or a danger to the teacher. Outside of that, we need to do a better job at keeping our kids in the school, in the educational system, because the streets is not nice. And oftentimes when our kids spend more time in the streets, that's what they're going to become. So we have to do a better job in keeping our kids in school.
Thank you, sir. We can transition a little bit to teacher evaluation. What is your stance on the Teacher Excellence Initiative, also known as TEI? If elected, what changes would you implement or change to TEI, or would you recommend any other mechanisms to evaluate teacher performance?
Well, with TEI, I believe TEI is evolving. Okay, when they first started the TEI program, you didn't have any teachers making $100,000 a year. Now we have over 34 teachers, about 35 teachers that make 6 figures a year in DISD. We are keeping the best teachers and we're paying them well. And the reality is teachers are underpaid. Okay, but also when we look at our proficient, we are retaining over 90% of our proficient 1, proficient 2 teachers. And even our lower level teachers, we're still retaining about 78% of them. But as you and all, I don't want a bad teacher teaching my child at the end of the day. I want my child to have the best and brightest teacher. But also those teachers that are not doing well, we need to make sure that we are providing them with the tools and the resources to do better. So when it comes to TEI, I believe it's evolving, but there are some tweaks that need to be made. And the only way those tweaks can be made is that you have to have educators at the table to talk about what's good, what's bad, and how do we fix it, and how do we make it more equitable for all teachers. But also, TEA is also something that's mostly funded by the state, and we already know what type of debacle that is right now. So at the end of the day, my answer to your question is TEI is evolving, and we need to make sure that we are involving educators as we move forward with this process.
Thank you. Outside of pay structure and salary increases, what are other things that the district can do to retain good teachers?
Well, I'm gonna beat this drum too. The district does not contribute to the health insurance premiums when a teacher adds a family member or a child. If you provide teachers with you're gonna underpay us. At least give me good health insurance, right? Quality health insurance. I want to be a proponent of making sure that teachers have mental health days off, right? That they have. And then when you look at a teacher health insurance benefit, when it comes to see a counselor, that should be a $0 premium to go see a mental health professional in their benefits. And because you're not paying me a lot, but if you cover a chunk of my health insurance, I would like to stay here. Yeah. Now, I know with the budget cuts, that's a hard battle, but I'm going to be pushing for that in the future once we get our budget under control.
Okay, next question. What actions has this current school board recently taken that you either strongly, well, let's do both, that you strongly agree with and you strongly disagree with?
Well, the discipline policy is something that I strongly agree with on how they move forward with that. I don't really have anything I want to say that I disagree with at the moment of time, but I know once this budget fight happens, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to agree with and disagree with at that time. But I do know tough decisions got to be made.
Okay, thank you. Next question is around building repairs. In your opinion, what are the priority of schools that need building repairs in the district that you plan to represent?
Well, when we look at the bond, we just had a historic bond election to pass last year, or the year before then. But when it comes to the AC units, I don't want to be in a hot school when it comes to building repairs. But even outside the building, even our buses that our kids travel on, right? Making sure that we're utilizing our bond funding to make sure that all buses are up to par and they got AC units, that kids don't have a heat stroke or get sick, or teachers don't get sick while they're on the bus. But making sure that our buildings are up to par, that they're safe, that they are welcoming, and that kids don't have to be in the school sweating, and that our security measures are up when it comes to the school. There should be more cameras around the school. And as of my understanding, the district had only spent $2 million towards security, and they had a budget for $20 million. Well, where's that additional $18 million? We need to get that $18 million and put more security cameras and beef up the security for the campuses.
Thank you. Last question, as we're supposed to wrap up by 8:30. Why should voters vote for you for this position?
Because I don't have to run for school board to be involved and engaged. I'm going to be involved and engaged because that's just what I do. I'm running for school board because it's important to me that we have leadership that understands what's going on in our community, what's happening with these kids, and someone that's going to actually do the work when it comes to engaging our community, doing the work and holding the superintendent accountable, doing the work when it comes to making sure that we are bringing in resources for our schools and that we are marketing and branding and telling our story in a positive way. This is competition out here. We have charter schools, we have surrounding districts. This is a business. At the end of the day, it's a business and everybody's competing for kids. And the only way that we're going to be a productive district, we got to have the best opportunities and create the best avenues for success for all kids in DISD. And I believe that with my skill set and my ability to be a collaborator, to work with people, that I can do that. And I would do this. I just truly care about kids, and I care about their outcomes because I once was them. And I believe that I can do a great job in being a school board trustee.
Thank you so much. Those are all the questions that we have time for today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time and making it a priority to be here tonight.
Thank y'all.
Next, I'll pass it along to Dr. Levels.
Oh, do I leave or stay? Oh, okay. Oh, you had a question?
No.
Okay, all right.
Sure, shortly.
Real quickly, we'll let you, Dr. Garcia, just in just a second. We want to thank our candidates that came out tonight because as everyone stated earlier, this is a very important, these are all very important races. We are very fortunate to have candidates from the Dallas College District Trustees, and we had 3 representatives, 3 candidates from one race, and Dr. Garcia is in a separate race, and her opponent was not here tonight. So we want to make sure that everyone understands that they're not all competing against each other. Dr. Garcia's candidate was not, her opponent was not here tonight, but the other 3 are running in a separate race. Additionally, as you heard, there are 2 elections in May. 2 elections in May. The first election, yes, the first election is May the 4th. That's an opportunity for you to vote for your school districts, your bonds. I'm going to give you a list of the bonds because some of you have asked about school bonds and city bonds. There's school bond elections as well as city council and school boards. Cedar Hill ISD is having a bond election May the 4th. Make sure you show up. I'm going to give you the list of the other schools. I'm sorry, I should have been more prepared. Here we go. School districts. The city, well, cities first. City of Dallas, City of Farmers Branch, City of Irving, City of Louisville, City of Rowlett. If you live in any of those cities, make sure that you participate May the 4th. They have a bond election. The only school district that has a bond election in Dallas County is Cedar Hill ISD. We want to make sure you know that. Again, you have council members, elections, as well as school board candidates. Then at the end of the month, we have the runoff. And you have 2 candidates here in the runoff. And that's phenomenal. Let me thank both of those ladies for being here tonight. Former Sheriff Lupe Valdez, current Sheriff Marion Brown, thank you both for being here. We know that you all are trying to get out into the community, and that's what this is all about, making sure that we are better informed so we can make an informed decision. So those are all the announcements that I have. We want to thank all the organizations that are here tonight. MPHC, we want Dr. Perry, President of Dallas MPHC, all the Greek orgs. I see you representing all your orgs, and if you don't have on para, thank you for coming tonight, as well as we want to thank our host. I see pastors over here. We want to thank him and the church and the hospitality committee, everyone tonight. We want to thank you. I have to say thank you to Soror Candace Wicks for coordinating this with OVOV. She's I know she's social action chair with MPHC, but she's also a member here at the church, as well as a founding member with OVOV. So we want to thank her for her work in coordinating tonight's events. Now we're going to pass off to Randall Bryant. Thank you.
Just want to do a quick plug. I was told to do this. There's some information out in the foyer about the City of Dallas's bond. It's $1.25 billion. There are 10 propositions that range from streets to parks to arts, cultural facilities, public safety, all wrapped into 10 propositions. Asking you to support all of them from top to bottom and vote in support of them to increase our infrastructure in our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, you know we are at a church. So first of all, we want to say all of the orgs and the candidates that are still here, we want to do some pictures for our archives. We do need to get some formal pictures of the candidates, their campaigns, and our public officials, past and present, please. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our pastor emeritus so that he can do the benediction. And then after that, we will close. And thank you to everyone on social media who has joined us on Facebook, Zoom, and the other social media platforms.
Here I am. Thank you. All right, I'll just scoot around. Thank you again. Let's now prepare to leave with the Lord's blessings. Eternal Father, we are grateful that you have been in the center of this process. We give you honor, we give you glory, we give you praise. And now may the grace of God and the beautiful communion of his Holy Spirit rest, rule, and abide with each individual and collectively. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, amen.